How we doing tonight, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Remnant One, and tonight I'm going to do a two-part Volume 5 and continue my series of plagues. This segment is going to be entitled Famine, and we're going to be looking at tonight instances from Exodus, Genesis, and Ruth. When based on the biblical text of the Old Testament, some of the characters and the Israelites and experienced famine. So, point being is this: I think the thing is now, people are worried with this coronavirus. Are we going to run out of food? And there's concerns about meat packages of clothes. There's one in Smithfield, back in my hometown of Newport News, Hampton, Virginia. Smithfield meat's about 20 minutes away. That plant is closed. There's many farms that they, like in the Washington State, California, that can't get enough farmers. These farmers were migrating to work from Mexico, and being that the border's closed, there's really nobody to harvest those grains and those fruits and vegetables. So there's concerns about it rotting, so which in turn, may cause a food crisis. It's argued that we're not going to run out of food. That the food stash in America is actually unbelievable. But we're going to go to look at the cases that we have as of April 19th. The U.S. still leads the way as far as in confirmed cases, with over 750,000, 764,000 to be exact. And worldwide, it's a little bit over 2.4 million people. In the U.S., you have over 40,000 deaths, and then worldwide, it's a little bit over 165,000 deaths. So this is where we're at now. So has it reached its peak yet? I don't think so. I was kind of looking at this article from New York Times. I was kind of vaguely just, skimming over it. And there's concerns about disruptions from when I was saying earlier in here that some of the meat plants are closed because there's too many workers are sick. Probably the same for produce production companies as well. So because of that, and I know you see this in your neighborhood market too. You go through the meat section, it's pretty much picked over. There's concerns about pork and beef and so forth. So I know it looks like looks like this at some of the meat markets here in the Las Vegas area, which I reside. If you go to Walmart or Sam's, or like you go to Albertsons, some of the regional stores, that's what it's going to look like. And it's going to be the same as far as your canned goods and dry goods. To further illustrate the one I'm talking about, this is a image from Risk.org, where many of your goods like rice, your dry foods, things like canned goods. There's a lady in this aisle, and apparently a lot of the stuff in that aisle are picked over, and that's what I'm assuming that what the containments of this aisle. Many of your dry foods. Image, and you should experience this at your local store, almost any store now, even the convenient ones like 7-Eleven or AM/PM. These are your gas station stores. The lack of paper towels and sanitary products, as in this image. This is I found this from delish.com. Where pretty much those aisles are almost empty, and they'll soon as they get these items in the morning, they're gone as soon as you get them. Okay, I just have to pull up this interesting article from crosswalk.com, and this refers to the coronavirus and the effects. And I just have to look up food shortage, okay, to where this may not be the case in America, but in some countries, okay, the food, they're not getting enough food, okay, and there's concerns about basic essentials may soar, okay. I know here in the U.S., because of many of getting stimulus checks and people are consuming, okay, I believe that prices are gradually going up, okay. But there's concerns in the Revelation, looking at the bottom of this particular sector here, 6 of Revelations 1 through 1:4, okay, that it speaks about the white horse, the red horse, and the black horse, the pale horse, okay, the 4 horsemen, okay, which the black one is represents famine. So I guess during these times of tribulation, which are not here yet, okay, that will start when the third temple is built in a couple of years, 7 years, okay, that there will be a period of food shortage or famines. Based on my research, for many scriptures of famine, particularly in the Old Testament, okay, where they talk about a lot of wars, okay, and Israel struggled to become from one family to a nation. Here's an interesting scripture, okay, when Abraham, all right, the beginning of the Abrahamic or the Israelite family, all right, that he had left Babylon, all right, to come to Egypt. Had 2 sons, but there was a famine in Babylon and lasted for a while, and he had migrated close to Egypt or in Egypt because of more fertile land. And this is in Genesis 12:10. I was saying earlier that the area of where Babylonians were and where Saudi Arabia is now, there was many wars. There was a lot of immoral behavior, okay, idolatry and so forth. That was a pagan world, and therefore I believe that part of God's wrath was famine and other atrocities that happened to these different tribes and so forth. So that being said, Abraham had 2 sons. One was accepted, one was not, okay. They speak on Genesis 26 verse 1. Now is a famine in the land, and besides the former famine, that were the days of Abraham, and Isaac went to Gerar, to Abimelech, the king of Philistines, which I spoke about earlier, were the sea people, okay, that those people were pagan. But Isaac, you see, Isaac was not considered a legitimate son of Abraham, so he was pretty much sent away, and he flourished around where it is known as now somewhere around Gaza Strip, okay, around that area. So that's another example of famine that happened during that time. So because of the pagan world around that era, and this is somewhere around about 1800 BC, that this land was stricken with famine. And this is going to go on and move on to Egypt. A correction too. Isaac was the chosen one. Ishmael was the what's called the Palestine. Okay, but this is Genesis. Let's see, 41. This is when Joseph, out of the 12 sons, the Israelites were sent to Egypt, and he had flourished, okay, out in Egypt. And basically this scripture from 25, 28, and 33, this is chapter 41, okay, that basically that Egypt went through a 7 years worth of famine, okay, and Joseph was to help lead his people through this 7 years of famine, okay. And it was a very severe famine from what I read. Now, I knew about they had a famine due to the 10 plagues, but I didn't know that they had a famine before then, okay, when Joseph was sent to Egypt. So with the trust and confidence with the Pharaoh, okay, he pretty much left Joseph in charge to lead his people, okay. And to also to take a fifth of the harvest, okay, during these so-called 7 years of abundance, okay, to help harvest and to help feed his people. So you could take a look of that on your own. Once again, Genesis 41, 25, 28, and 33. When I was going through divinity school, I had to write pretty much a exegesis on Ruth, okay, and this was a period through the judges, okay, where Ruth was a Moabite, and she had married one of Naomi's sons. Naomi was an Israelite, and her husband was an Israelite, and the book of Ruth is very important because she's going to turn out, based off her loyalty, okay, to be the great grandmother of King David. But this is the time, somewhere around 1300, 1200 BC, okay, where there was a famine in Israel, and this was due to many wars with the Philistines. I spoke on that in a previous video. Okay, that Naomi was married, okay, and her husband was Elimelech. She had 2 sons, and once they had left Israel to go to Moab, her husband and her sons was killed. Now, many of them, well, let's just say, theory has it to where her husband and sons were either killed for escaping Israel, the wrath of Israel, or because maybe it was possible that they were killed in war, either the Philistines or the Chaldeans. But this famine went on for about 10 years, okay? And you can read, just look in Proverbs 3, 5 to 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all the ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight.